What's up, guys? Another Friday, another live stream coming at you hot, ready from the shop. A little different. Last week was track. This week is back in the shop, making things happen. Let's see what we got going on. Let's invite some people to the stream. Let's get them moving and grooving, baby. Before I fucking fall in this thing of coolant. So we got the Jeremy Pacifica in, doing a full detail in it. So pulling out the seats, cleaning carpet. Matt's over there. I don't really want to show too much of him. He gets kind of antsy, so I respect his privacy. But seats come out, full detail, nice and clean. If your car's here, let us know. We do detailing, we do wraps. Don't forget about it, because it is something we offer. What's up, Mr. Chris? How you doing today? Hopefully it's a little nicer weather. We're going through some rain, so let's see what else. This Jeep, parts were supposed to be here on the 20th. From the dealer. The 20th came and went. I asked the dealer where they're at. Now they're saying the 28th. So that is literally just part of it. You know, we rely on third-party vendors for this. And when, you know, we have to rely on third-party vendors, there's only so much we can do as far as delays. So that's just part of it. And, you know, we do appreciate your patience when we experience setbacks like this. So let's go over here. Let's check out this little Trackhawk leg maker. Clean, clean, clean. I see a oil pump gear down there, oil pump drive. Looks like turbos. You doing turbos on the stand? Twin turbos, baby. Helion? Yes, sir. So what are you in the process of doing? Let the people know, and make sure you speak loudly, because it is kind of loud in here.
I'm running the oil lines. The plug here, I'm putting the plug in, the oil feed to the turbos.
Okay, so that's...
Move the alternator out of the way, and then right there is where this is going to go into to feed the turbos.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Good work. Keep it up. So we'll have, as per usual, you guys know we love our turbos here, so always like posting up them turbo builds, so we'll have another one hitting the streets pretty here soon. So stock upper, stock lower, just added, you know, compound boost, and off she goes. So reliable, flexible setup, nice, dailyable, trackable, streetable, all of it-able, baby, all of it. So let's see what else we got. The old big build, the old red truck. So everything finally came in. Let's go ahead and show this motor off. We were waiting on some parts, windage tray, front cover, water pump. Oh man, yeah, Jeff, if only if it was purple. I still kind of fancy the red, but look how shiny this is with these ported heads. Let's get down in there. Woo! So we got those. The big Mama Jamma 625 ARP studs. Those are the Mac Daddies. Gotta love it. Look at this sexy little thing. Woo-hoo-hoo. I can't wait to see what this thing does, y'all. It's gonna be fun. I fancy the red. I fancy it too. Whole lot of red. Awesome. Let me cover up this motor. We can move back on to the next truck, see what we else got going on. Show what's going on the dyno. Bear with me while I cover this. Camera's gonna be kind of moving about. Sorry, I just don't want anything getting in her while she sits here. Got to keep our asses protected, baby. Little WK1 in, turbo kit setup. So she's coming along. So making progress on it. We are, I don't know where my guy is, but we got all our pipes here. So a bunch of nice stuff. Stainless bros, of course, with the metal. Vibrant clamps, vibrant flex pipes. You know we use the good stuff, baby. We don't skimp. Quality, precision is number one priority. Quality, reliability, safety, power, baby. We do it all. So, got shop manager hooking me up with the water. Always looking out for his boys. Thank you, AO. Yeah. So, we got our Turo over here going to town, getting a IC chiller set up. Valve cover swap now. What we putting on there, Arturo?
Black anodized billet special.
Okay.
Fancy stuff.
Yes, sir. Fancy, fancy. It's going to look good with this sucker. Man. So, yeah, he's doing valve covers. I don't know if y'all heard, but we're doing the made in-house, beautiful billet valve covers, anodized black. These are the polished ones, right? We polished them before we anodized them? Yeah. Where are they at? You got them on hand, or they're over there? Okay. So, Joe's got them, but... Yep. Here's the IC chiller system, all wrapped up. Turo working his magic as per usual. He is the GOAT with these things, man. He bumps them out quick. So, see, there's the 3-way switch. So, let's see what we got on the dyno. Little Daytona, little 5.7 action. You guys know I love my 5.7s. I got a real soft spot for them. We got a D1 SC on here. We have a Pro Charger Riptect 375 pulley. And we made all the power. 4-fuel system. Wide body. I'm not too sure if power numbers are official yet, so I'm not ready to show those. I'm sure there'll be a video coming out shortly with those power numbers, but for now, keeping it quiet as I'm not sure if the owner wants those disclosed or not. So, yeah, nothing too crazy, but great power, sexy build, fun car. So, do remember, shop car is still for sale. Let's go take a look at her. Shop car is for sale. Starting price $65,000. There are less than 12,000 miles on the chassis. A little wet. 12,000 miles on the chassis. Less than 2,000 miles on the red eye swap. So she's making about 920 right now. Leg maker intake. Obviously, as we are a shop, you know what we can do. If you want it set up differently, you want Helians, let us know. We can work with you. Cut you a bit of a deal on it. And if you do buy it, sell me those wheels. Sell me those wheels. I want them, but, you know, I'm always fiending for some wheels. I got a problem. I got an addiction. I have more wheels than cars. Y'all know what's up. So, yeah, nice little build. Let's see what else we got going on. Little charger over here. Got the blower sent off to Mr. Kong. Getting a port, getting a rebuild, getting a powder coat. Look at that steering wheel. Look at that Kirkley. Hubba. So, nice carbon hood. I believe this is an Anderson Composites. Yep, Anderson Composite hood. So, blower is off. It has been sent out. We are waiting for it to come back. Once it comes back, we'll obviously show you. It's going to have a nice powder coat, nice port, nice rebuild. It's going to make all the power. This customer is upgrading to our level 3.5 package. So that is a ported blower, upper, lower injectors, true flex fuel, and use a custom couple other options on there just to spice it up that much more. So, stout car, beautiful color too. Don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's that kind of darkish gray blue that you just don't see all that often. So, yeah, she'll be a beast. I can't wait to see what she does, but this hood is light. This hood is so light, y'all. All right, let's see. Let's take a little peeky poo at where Jeremy is. Let's get our could you, should you, would you started. Let's take a look at Tulo. I'm not looking too good, but that's per usual. Jeremy, ready? All right.
Door. You open the door.
My doors. I'll be leaving them open, letting all the AC out.
Going back to our OG roots.
Yes, sir. Back at it. I can hear you giving me some heat for that door in the background.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Thanks again for checking in. So, we're going to get the could you and should you going and some questions that we had. So, first I'll talk about what you see in my hands here. So, as you guys know, we have a bunch of 3D printers there, and Joe's working hard on developing products for us. So, what you see here was a prototype for it actually was for a 3/8 Whipple red eye that we had, and it goes up to the factory airbox. So we understand it's not the biggest flowing product in the world, but what it allows you to do for a street car is bolt right up. So a couple couplers, clamps, and this sucker allows you to utilize the factory air box. So we actually have one here in the parking lot that we used it on, and it fit perfect. So as we critique it a little bit more and just fine tune it, we are going to be making more and more intake solutions for the industry, from 5.7s up to Hellcat and beyond. So pretty neat. As you can tell, came out really, really nice, playing with some settings and textures and stuff like that. But being made out of ABS, this is really strong, withstand the engine bay heat. So any ideas or concepts you might need, if you have a unique setup and are looking for some type of intake solution, let us know so we can keep Joe busy. So pretty cool. But to kick it off, let's go. What do you got for me?
Could you, should you? Could I upgrade injectors when I'm stock? Will I get any power? Will it help at all?
Yeah, great question. So this week seemed to be full of them, and that's why we're kind of kicking it off with that. So we've had and seen on the internet a bunch of people saying, oh, I have a 392 or a 5.7 and I'm buying Hellcat injectors. How much power can I gain from it? The fact is, when trying to increase horsepower, what's important is increasing airflow, and then you match your fuel system to that. So injectors don't restrict your power if you have enough injector for the air that you're getting. So if you have a 392, putting Hellcat injectors on doesn't make more power. Naturally, as you introduce more airflow, so you have a supercharger, increase the cam profile and so on and so forth, and you're going to flow more. Then you need to match an injector to it to compensate, right? But if you don't have any type of modifications done, or you aren't, don't have a fuel system that's not capable, there's no need to change the injectors out. Obviously, if going E85, in which you just need more fuel to hit the desired fueling that you need, that's a different story. But when you're just talking about, I'm going to throw injectors in it so I make more power, that doesn't exist. That's not true. So could you, should you? No and no. The only reason you should ever change injectors is if you increase the amount of air that the engine needs and you need more fuel to achieve the targeted air-fuel ratio. So stop buying injectors thinking you're going to make more power. Also, piggybacking off of that, you do need a tune if you change the injectors.
Oh, you can't run aftermarket injectors on a stock tune?
Weird, right?
What?
Not safe. Now, one of those people are like, oh, I've done it, blah, blah, blah. Yes, when you start it up and give it some time, these cars can adjust fueling with short and long-term fuel trims over 60%. It's not good. It doesn't mean you should. So could you, should you? No and no. So that's a double header right there of no's, which you don't hear a lot of what we say here. But no, don't do that. Find a tuner shop that you trust, consult them, and follow their guidance. If you question your shop and you reach out to us after to question the shop that you reached out to, you shouldn't be doing business with them. So find somebody you trust that can handle the project from start to finish, and then trust their judgment. Mm-hmm. What do you got?
Could you, should you run no air filter at the track if you're shooting for a personal best?
So let's assess type of builds, right, and what an air filter does. So naturally that keeps bad stuff out of your engine, okay? Now, depending on the type of setup, air filters can be restrictive in regards to airflow. So, really assess what the pros are versus the cons. Is an air filter truly restricting your airflow? For example, on a stock 392 or 5.7, you put a K&N air filter in it, there's no benefit to pulling out that K&N air filter over no air filter, because your engine, again, can't consume more air than what that filter can breathe. Now you go up to a force-induced application or something with a built motor that does need more airflow, then yeah, it doesn't hurt to pull it out, in regards to those quick seconds. We do understand you might suck something up real quick in that time, or a little bit of dust and so on and so forth. So is it going to last you 200,000 miles if you pull the air filters off? Not necessarily, but again, if you're shooting for that PB or want every last bit of horsepower, then, go for it. Blower applications, restriction in front of the blower can reduce boost and, they make it harder to get the air in, right? Turbos will naturally hit the desired boost level because they can just spin faster, but what they will do is affect spool up. So removing the air filters, that's kind of the pro from, reducing restriction in front of the turbo, is you might see a little bit of improvement on the spooling characteristics, but, it doesn't affect turbo systems as much as it does a blower system. So again, we talked again about the Whipple 3.8 Red Eye when I was showing the intake. We actually built a velocity stack. We 3D printed a velocity stack for him because on the dyno, when it was nice and cold out, that thing was hitting 28 pounds of boost. But with heat, like we had at our track day, it was down a couple pounds of boost. So by throwing the velocity stack on it, no air filter, a design that we have that actually increases airflow, we were able to get that 2 pounds of boost back in the hot weather. So the objective with it was to keep consistency as the seasons and weather changes, and we nailed it. So obviously for that 8-second or low 9-second pass, you know, the engine can suck down whatever's in the engine bay. So yes, it might reduce the longevity of it over time the more that you do it, but very rare conditions, as long as the track is clean and so on and so forth, that you're going to suck anything and to cause immediate damage. You know, if something breaks in front of it and it's going to suck it in, well, you know, that's the risk you take. But more so the longevity of it. So for a personal best, could you? Yes. Should you? We do it. You know, we do it on our cars. You know, I did it. Yeah, and you know, my red eye, when we went to the track, we put turbo guards on it. You know, still to prevent big things from getting in, but it had maximum airflow. So yeah, you know, we do it here as well. So.
Could you, should you, what's the how-tos for it? Colder spark plugs, do they help lower temperatures, coolant intake air temps?
No.
Should I use it on my stock vehicle? What?
No.
What's
The objective to this is, as you increase horsepower, the cylinder pressure creating more heat inside the combustion chamber. So what it is designed to do by reducing what we call the temperature of the spark plug is it prevents it from melting the plug. It allows for a more consistent spark of what we need in the given condition. If you know any type of characteristics for electronics, they do not like heat. So naturally, as we make more horsepower and heat is, you know, increasing all around, it makes it harder for that electronic device to produce the spark that we need. So we drop the temperature of it and get a colder plug. Now this can be confusing because we say drop to a colder plug, but the temperature goes up for certain brand and goes down for others. So make sure when referencing the up or down, you know what brand you are working with. But we do put colder plugs in to help compensate for the heat and allowing that spark to still be in the heat range we need to ignite the air fuel mixture to prevent misfires and so on and so forth. So you do have to gauge it based on your power level, fuel type being run, in the conditions you're going to be in. This might even mean that, you know, for a daily driving vehicle with the potential to make 1,500 plus wheel horsepower, it might be recommended if you're going to the racetrack to change your spark plug versus what you're doing driving on the street, because an 800 wheel horsepower car does require a spark plug different than a 1,500 wheel horsepower car. So that's something that we do want to consider when choosing a spark plug. Also fuel type and the type of power adder to get you there is also something to consider as well, right? Because the cylinder pressure and the combustion that's happening with a Whipple 3.8 is going to be the same as a twin turbo setup, but the turbo setup might have lower boost to achieve a dyno number, but at that boost level, the combustion is actually the same, right? So you got to make sure you spec your spark plug accordingly based on the overall build. Is it bad to run too cold of a plug? Yeah, what you'll notice is some drivability issues, poor fuel economy, because when the heat isn't there, it struggles to make the spark that you need. So a clean spark, it needs that heat to get to its operating temperature range, right? Just like engine coolant, just like oil coolant, they have a range of temperature that they work in. Too hot of a spark plug, you might melt the plug out of it here and there. You know, it will struggle to maintain a good spark, could develop misfire, so on and so forth. So it is a balancing act. You don't want to throw just two-step coolers in for a pulley car and expect that everything will be perfect. It's not an ideal situation. So you really have to spec it off of all of those conditions. And again, consult with your tuner / engine builder / shop, because they will be able to gauge you as long as they have the experience with it. But too cold of a plug can have negative effects, and too hot of a plug can have negative effects. So it is crucial.
I might get smacked for this one, but it's something I've heard before while talking on the phones.
Yeah.
Throttle body spacers, they're supposed to spin the air and get you 10, 15 horsepower. Do they do anything?
No.
Oh.
Should you know?
No free horsepower?
Could you know? Could you, should you know? No.
Nope.
So the where they came from is back in the day with you know, old school cars and carburetors and things like that. It's kind of a way to change a runner length per se, is how they kind of work it out to be, right? Because with the carburetor mounted on top, you space it out and changing the runner length and helping with, you know, low end torque and things like that. On these modern cars, with the way the intake manifolds are, a little 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch spacer is not going to change anything. It is a complete waste. Same thing as putting a large ported throttle body on a stock car.
What?
So
way.
we'll piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
So spacers, could you, should you? No, absolutely not. I will remove them if they're here and hope that you can sell it to make some money back. And ported throttle bodies, could you? Pending application, yes, right? If you exceed the flow of what a stock throttle body can achieve in regards to the power that you're looking for, then yes. Should you, if you need it, okay? Now, something to assess out there is when you hear of a ported throttle body, generally what that means is they're taking a stock housing and they're opening it up. You have to verify, did they change the blade? Because at the end of the day, the blade is what controls the opening. So when you measure the outside where they ported it, what about right next to the blade or on the back side of the blade? Is that opened up, right? If it's just the outside and it tapers down to what the blade is the same size, there's no change.
So you wasted money.
Wasted money.
What?
No change. Now, you go and get a 105 millimeter throttle body and throw it on a stock 5.7 or
Yeah.
5.2. The stock throttle bodies aren't a restriction. So what are you actually gaining from it? Maybe a little bit of throttle response, right? Because obviously a massive throttle body opening at 10% is different than a stock throttle body. So you might feel throttle response, but technically horsepower, no. Even that too, if your intake manifold and where you're mounting the throttle body doesn't match, again, there's
Like
no
if you're
benefit.
using like a reducer to run a bigger throttle body,
Right.
if it just necks down, what's the point?
Right, yeah, you get a 108 millimeter throttle body and you have to buy an adapter to bolt it onto your stock intake manifold. What are you actually doing, right? You have to really assess the overall thing. So, ported throttle bodies, bigger throttle bodies aren't always the solution. I've actually seen them lose power. Again, it comes to velocity. We've talked about it in previous videos. Velocity is just as important as volume. So it is a balancing act. You got to make sure you maintain that speed of which the air can make it into the combustion chamber. Because if you slow it down too much, it's going to struggle. So keep that in mind. Obviously supercharged cars, again, they will benefit as long as the items beyond it, the snout, your bearing plate, and all that allow for more airflow. You could put a 130 millimeter throttle body on, but if the snout opening's 95 millimeter,
What's the point?
what's the point? What's
Exactly.
the point? So again, it comes down to the combination of things. We have had NA builds that require a ported or larger throttle body. We also have had supercharged applications with a bigger, larger throttle body. Referencing back to compound boost, since we always talk about it, we actually did a test with the 108 ported throttle body, or 108 throttle body and a ported 2.4 versus a stock throttle body. It didn't change anything. Again, we're forcing air in from the turbos, so it goes through the same size charge pipe going into an opening that tapers open. So obviously, it's only beneficial if something along the lines is a restriction, but a 108 throttle body versus a stock Hellcat throttle body, it made no difference in power. So it is based on application, and as long as there is no restriction, there is no need for bigger. And make sure that if you get a bigger throttle body, everything transfers through equally. So,
Kind of tying in with what you were talking about, velocity of airflow, how important that is, and then talking about the velocity stack on the Whipple car. On an NA car, or I guess a turbo car, but mainly more NA, does it make a difference? Is it useful? Is it something that, I'm going for every little last tenth?
Sure.
Should I invest in? And,
Yeah.
What kind of results can I expect? Am I going to see 50 horsepower gains or am I going to see 5?
yeah, great question. So to give you an example, we have, for those that don't know what a velocity stack is, this is one that we were building before for a 3.8 Whipple. So essentially what this does is it helps redirect airflow. So obviously no air filters, so right away that helps, right? But the curvature on the front, what it does is it directs airflow from different parts of the intake system, and then it directs it in for high velocity. So believe it or not, when we put this on a Whipple 3.8 car, we gained 2 pounds of boost.
Wow.
And it was only, and that was actually 2 pounds of boost from air filter removal. So we left the intake tube on it, took the air filter off, and gained about 1.5 to 2 pounds of boost. And then we swapped over to this and gained another 2 pounds of boost, okay, just to show you the benefits of what this can do, all right? So on an NA car, are there gains? Again, if there is a restriction on it, right? Obviously, you're relying on the suction from the piston itself, in the downward motion to create airflow. It can redirect, and maybe at higher RPMs when there's turbulence and airflow in the engine bay, it could help. It's going to be kind of a percentage increase, right? So naturally, it might not be 50 horsepower, but when you're NA and you're chasing 5 horsepower, give or take, it absolutely can, right? So this is what you have to consider. So turbos, yes, beneficial. Centrifugal blower, beneficial. The V13 that we did gained 100 horsepower by putting one of these on. And funny enough, his is probably 5 inches big and only about this deep, and it gained 100 horsepower. So this, when it comes to physics and airflow, is huge in regards to the benefits that you can get from it. Okay, so don't slouch, and if you're a track racer, absolutely, there's no negatives to it by putting something like this on. So good question, but it is beneficial. More obviously when boosted, but yeah.
So does, kind of tying into that, does the length of the actual pipe matter?
There's a lot that goes into it.
Okay.
So that's above me. I'm not an engineer. I could bring Joe in, but he's a little busy. So
doesn't like talking.
overall concept of it, there are ways to overall improve it. There's a reason why you see a taper on the pipe like what we have. There's a reason you see that from the top manufacturers of intake systems as well. There are reasons when it comes to airflow. There's a lot that goes into airflow physics to optimize velocity and volume of airflow. So this allows for the combination of both.
Gotcha. For a racing and street application, if you had the choice, Nag 1 or HP 8, 8-speed.
HP 90
Yeah,
or
HP 90 or 8-speed,
I'm a big fan of the 8 speeds. It's streetability wise, the more gears you get, the more overdrive you're having, so on and so forth, to keep those RPMs low for fuel economy for those that like it. And then the other piece about it is the point of it is to keep you in optimal power range longer. So although there's more shifts because of where it's putting you for that power band, it is beneficial. You can prove it by looking at like a 2012-13 WK2 and then going over to a 2014 Plus with 8-speed. They knock almost a full second off of their ETs just by a transmission swap. Motor's the same, makes the same power, gearing's the same, it literally is a transmission change, and there's a second difference in it. Same thing with the Nag 1 392s and then going to the 8-speed. It was kind of the same thing in regards to the reduction in time. So maintaining that power band is huge in regards to, it's not always about peak power, and I know we get focused on that so much about what the peak power is, but it's the overall power band and how long you can stay in those areas. And the control and tunability of the 8 speeds are far superior to that. The Nag 1s were the powerhouse in the beginning. They were great when they were out. They were much easier to build, so on and so forth. But technology has proven that there are benefits to having a couple extra gears, both for street and racing. So shop car, for example, I could have done a Turbo 400. I could have done any of that. It had a simple HP 90 in it. I could drive that thing on the street and get 20 miles to the gallon, no problem on corn, and then go to the track and knock off 8s, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of flexibility, and technology is finally starting to grow with this platform to allow us to make some really big power on that application. So
I touched this briefly in the car with Cooley last week, but he can explain it way better than I can. So kind of piggybacking off of that, does it take more power to make a 5-speed do the same time that an 8-speed would do?
Naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's one of those, the part of the technology advancements is the efficiency of the transmission, so we do see less parasitic drain from the 8 speeds compared to the 5 speeds. But again, it comes down to, when you shift on a 5-speed, your RPM is going to drop a lot lower, and then you're going to hold that gear a lot longer. And the combination of it without the way the build will work, where as an 8-speed, like we said, you're staying in a much smaller window of where the power is produced, which is going to be much higher horsepower. So when going down the track, it's, at any given time, at any given speed, how much horsepower do I have at that time? Naturally, when you only have the ability to utilize 3 gears while going down the track, you're going to run into that. So yes, it's one of those, you generally, it is easier with the 8-speed all around.
I got a soft spot for the Nag 1, but
yeah, it's okay. They're not bad. Me too. I've been there.
Coming.
Right, absolutely.
It's time's coming.
So, all right, one more, and then you got any others? Or?
Yeah,
one more, and then we'll save the rest for next week.
I had one. Oh, those doing boost on a budget with a Hellcat application going turbos.
Yep.
What is the limit, pros, cons of using a gutted blower versus a dedicated air-to-water intake manifold?
Perfect. So I know we talked about it briefly because 2 of the cars we had at the track last week, one had a billet intake manifold with an air-to-wire, and another had a gutted 2.4 blower, kind of like what my truck has. And at the same boost level, very similar motor setups and stuff like that. The billet intake manifold setup made over 100 horsepower more. at any given time. And again, it's a battle of efficiency, right? What we break it down to is if you actually open up a Hellcat blower and look at their tiny little intercoolers. What we were seeing is I needed 4 more pounds of boost pre-intercooler to make the same 28 pounds of boost that I did out of the billet intake manifold. So that shows me the intercooler system flowed much better. So the turbos had to fight more to make the same type of boost level, right? When the turbo has to fight and the restriction and efficiency drops, we then increase heat, which then efficiency drops, and so on and so forth. So the turbos were working a lot harder on the ported 2.4. I personally, about 1350 to the wheels is about where I'm comfortable on a ported or a gutted 2.4. And the reason being is because that's really, 1300, 1350 is where I really start to see the efficiency of that intercooler system become an issue. And we really got to lean on the turbo spinning really, really fast to achieve what we're looking for. And like I said, to make over 100 horsepower more at the same boost level out of very similar turbo setups and stuff shows you where that is. The other thing too, we know from aggressive ported blower setups that the distribution is slightly different because of the shape of the intake. So it's another reason we don't want to pump way too much boost through it and then have to try to compensate per cylinder and so on and so forth. So a 1011, 1200 wheel all day long, 1350 is a kill setting and short pass at the track. That's kind of where I like to keep it on those. But very good question. And with our intakes that are coming out very soon, we'll actually have cars with back-to-back testing showing you the before and after of what happens just by a proper intake system when it comes to efficiency and flow. So
I'm unbelievably excited for those.
too.
I cannot
very
wait.
Soon. Very soon. So, all right, guys, thank you again for checking in. We're going to go grab some lunch. Keep those questions coming so we
Absolutely.
can answer them next week. So,
You guys are the best.
thanks, guys.